Hello, Virgo. Thanks for joining me. This is going to be your new moon reading for June 20th. So, if you're new to my channel, my name is Melissa and I do zodiac readings based on the new moon energy and the full moon energy. So, we have a new moon in Cancer on June 20th, and we're at like a really weird point because we're at the solstice where we're going to be starting summer. Sorry, I'm fighting a sneeze. We're going to be starting summer, so we're at the solstice. We also have a solar eclipse. Mercury just went into retrograde. There's a lot going on right now. But normally I do the new moon, the new kind of beginning of the next cycle, and also the end. It also marks the end of the previous cycle. So we're going to do 9 cards. I'm going to look at what your current energy is for, like the cusp of the 2 cycles. The new moon is the end of the previous cycle, so we're going to kind of look at that energy, and then we're going to look at 3 cards for your new moon, what you can focus on, what looks like it's coming to need some attention, some seed planting, if you will, for intentions, and then we'll look at some advice for the next couple of weeks until we get to the full moon, where we'll do another reading. So, nice to meet you if you're new. Thank you for coming back. If you are a subscriber, if you're not and this resonates, make sure you hit that subscribe. All right. New moon energy for Virgo. All right, Spirit, what messages do we have for Virgo regarding the new moon and the end of the last cycle, please? Okay, we had one come out. That was death. Okay, death popped out on its own. Then we have the Knight of Wands and the Page of Wands. Okay, yeah, so death, I really identify the death card with the new moon. Kind of a weird thing that I do, but hear me out. It makes perfect sense because the death card doesn't represent just death. It represents rebirth. It represents the end of a cycle to make room for a new beginning or a new cycle. So the death card for me really, really resonates with the new moon because it's the end of a cycle, but it's also the beginning of the next cycle, as is the death card. Okay, so you can kind of see it like it's death. It's the reaper coming in to, like reap the souls. But in the background, we have that dawning going on, the sunrise, a new day coming in. So it's both, which to me totally represents the new moon energy. So I feel like there is something that you're purging, I guess you could say, because we have the Knight of Wands and then we have the Page of Wands right next to that as well. So the Page of Wands is youth, is a student, somebody who is learning a skill. So I feel like you're kind of letting go of maybe this night energy. Perhaps this could be people around you. This could be a love interest and possibly a child. It could be somebody old and somebody new. It could be the end of one relationship and moving into a new relationship. However that resonates for you, this being a general reading, I don't have a question. I don't know your situation, so it could resonate either way for you. But I definitely feel like this is something that's coming to an end to make room for something new to start. And I really kind of feel like this could just be internal you. The wands for me are not only fire energy, but also spirit. So this could be, a new spiritual journey for you as well. So let's look and see at what possible intentions should we be setting for this new cycle, please? That death card jumped right out there. All right, the 8 of Pentacles, the 2 of Wands, more Wands, and the 3 of Cups. Okay, so I really feel like, okay, so it's really progressive for me here. So the first card that came out is the 8 of Pentacles. So this is kind of like working hard for your money, right? But then right next to it, we have the 2 of Wands, which is kind of like taking a step back and assessing the situation. The 2 is like the beginning stages. It's where you kind of are starting to maybe think of a plan or having new ideas that are kind of taking root, which also makes sense for the new moon and putting intentions out. But there's something that you've been working towards, but I feel like there's now a time for you to kind of take a pause a little bit and maybe figure out a new way to do things, because then we have this Three of Cups, which is kind of celebrating. In this deck, I usually get like the more of this seems a little bit less like celebrating and more like people kind of talking behind your back, but I don't really get it with these cards. This with the other cards that are out here, I'm really getting like you're working on something really hard, and it's time to take a pause, reassess the situation, and maybe go a different route. Okay, so again, the two can also mean like you're splitting ways, or you're drawn into different directions. But I feel like it would be a good time to like reflect and maybe just take some time to, ooh, I just hit the table. Maybe take some time to kind of celebrate how far you've already come and how much work you've already put into this, whatever this is in your situation. But I feel like that's kind of what the new moon is pulling up for you, is, you know, should I start going in a different direction? Is now a good time for me to plant seeds, to either, you know, like add to my business? I say business because we have this pentacle, but it could definitely be something that you're more passionate about, or something in the spiritual world that makes you feel like celebrating, or like there's, you know, something worth celebrating. But definitely feeling like it's a time of renewal. And with the retrogrades, it's kind of all of the words, you know, renewal, rest, recovery, rejuvenation, that kind of stuff. I feel like there's been a lot of work going on for you, and you may be feeling pulled to kind of take a look at another route that brings you a little bit more happiness, gives you something to celebrate. Okay, maybe you're kind of toiling away here and not really being able to enjoy the fruits of your labor. And I feel like I'm like super crooked. I think when I hit the table that moved, but you're not really being able to enjoy the fruits of your labor, and that's where you want to be. And I feel like now would be now that's kind of what is coming to realization for you. All right, let's see if we can get some advice for Virgo, please. Advice for Virgo. All right, Spirit, what advice do we have for Virgo? We have the Two of Pentacles, the Hanged Man, like I said about that pause, and then the Ace of Wands. Okay, so let me show you the card so you can see what I'm looking at. We have the Two of Pentacles here, which is, again, like we have this other two where I said, you know, you could be a time where you're trying to figure out which direction you want to go. Here we go again with that energy, okay? So in order, and this is... these three cards, I didn't show you all the cards yet. The Hanged Man, getting a new perspective, pausing to reassess the situation. But, you know, pausing, taking a different view on something. And then the Ace of Wands. This Ace of Wands is inspiration. Like, that is the one word that is popping out right here, is inspiration. Like I said, with the wands being a spirit card for me, representing spirit, this is like literally spirit is handing you an idea, something to carry. I'm hearing carry the torch, like that's a leaf on top, but you know, like passing on the torch. They're passing on the torch to you. So these three cards kind of are giving me a sentence, and it's in order to make a decision, you need to take a new perspective before the new idea can come to you. So I feel like the main source of advice is going to come from this card, where it's literally just taking a pause, and it's kind of this card too, taking a pause. I feel like maybe there's a little bit of waiting. Maybe there's waiting for something you're waiting for a sign. You're waiting for spirit to step in and say, okay, this is what you should be doing now. And it's not always as simple as that. You know, you have to ask for the sign, and it's a lot easier if you tell them what you want the sign to look like, because otherwise it's easy to miss it. But yeah, if you're up in the air juggling two ideas, two different businesses, two different people, whatever it is that you're trying to kind of possibly decide between, the best way to get this new idea and this new thing off the ground is to take a different perspective. That halo around his head is like enlightenment, you know, like, again, that like like your head's going to look like that when you finally get this inspiration, this idea that comes to you. But yeah, so that's what I have. It's definitely, I feel like, a new start. But you've been working hard at something, and I think you're going to start to experience things that make you wonder if there's something, another direction you can take, whatever it is. I mean, it can definitely be an end to something, and you're starting something completely new, working too hard at something, or, you know, like you're working hard at it, but not seeing the benefits. So I think that's going to start coming up as that taking a pause and kind of reflecting on the situation and seeing which path might be better. Sometimes we're on like what we think is a perfect path, and, you know, situations change. There's a global pandemic. Okay, there's, you know, like a police force, and, you know, like we don't know what's going to happen with that. So then we kind of got to look back and say, okay, now, well, what can I do now to make the next step more logical or more beneficial for me? So I feel like that's what energy is coming in for this new moon. Definitely a good time to just pause. Maybe I'm really kind of feeling maybe not even planting any seeds of intention for this new moon, and just kind of going with the flow and letting it, and seeing what kind of comes. The going with the flow got me a reminder that we're entering Cancer season, and that the new moon is in Cancer, which is about feelings and flowing and flowiness. And we really only have one water element card on the table, and that's really kind of what I feel like you may see is lacking, that celebration or that celebratory spirit. You may be unsure of how to get there, and I feel like that's the way we're getting there, is to definitely take a time out, pause. I would say at this point, unless you have a specific intention, just go with the flow. Enjoy this watery ride that we're going on for all these retrogrades and Cancer season. But yeah, like I feel like it's kind of a time to pause. Something may be ending for you, but definitely if something is ending, something else is beginning. And honestly, this was the first card that we pulled, and this is the last card. Okay, so we definitely have the ending of something to bring room for something new, and here's your new thing. This ace is the beginning. It's an inspiration that comes to you. So that's what we have for our reading. I'm really excited to see what you have going on, so please drop a comment and let me know if this resonates and what you think that this might be pertaining to in your life. So thanks again for watching, and as always, have a blessed day.